Have you ever experienced this while using a mouse? For me personally, using a mouse for more than a few hours definitely takes its toll on my hand. That's why I was happy to hear that Logitech may actually have a solution for people like me. For a while now, Logitech has consistently released some of the most successful computer peripherals on the market. The MX Master line of productivity mice have paved the way by featuring some of the most comfortable mice to date. About a year after Logitech released the second generation of the MX Master, the MX Master 2S, they released the MX Vertical in 2018. Like its name implies, the MX Vertical is a vertical mouse that takes its cue from vertical mice of the past. Despite the MX Vertical's seemingly revolutionary design, vertical mice have actually been around since the late 1990s. Although they were initially faced with skepticism, refined designs have actually made them much more prevalent today. And thus, that raises the question, can vertical mice actually help alleviate mouse-related pains? Hello and welcome to Detective. Let's check this out. According to Logitech's website, the MX Vertical combines science-driven design with the elevated performance of Logitech's MX series. This design is to help reduce muscle strain, decrease wrist pressure, and improve posture. How does the MX Vertical do this? Logitech calls it the natural handshake position, which basically rotates the mouse vertically 57 degrees. By reducing pressure on your wrist, Logitech claims it could reduce muscle strain by about 10%. Looking back at the original vertical mouse patent from 1994, you can see where Logitech gets their inspiration for their design. The MX Vertical also takes several design elements from the popular MX Master line and incorporates them into the Vertical. The shape of the MX Vertical is definitely the most unique aspect of the mouse. Its vertical profile and wave-like design stands out quite a bit, especially when compared to something like the MX Master 2S. The entire surface of the Vertical is covered in a rubberized latex material similar to the MX Master 3. It offers added grip, but also makes the surface feel slightly gritty, which is something I mentioned in my comparison of the MX Master 2S and the MX Master 3. A similar rubber material also extends to the scroll wheel, which is completely covered in it. Despite the entire mouse being plastic, it definitely has a high quality feel to it. The grip width of the MX Vertical measures 62mm wide, with a length of 118mm and a height of 81mm. Sitting next to the MX Master 2S, it definitely has a more prominent presence on a desk. As for the buttons, you have your traditional left and right clicks, as well as the scroll wheel that offers a center click. There are also two side buttons directly above where your thumb would rest, and these are mapped to the forward and back by default. There's also a single button at the back end of the ridge that is mapped to pointer speed by default. It should be noted that all the buttons are customizable and could be programmed to nearly any function you'd like using Logitech options. It's easy to see that the MX Vertical takes several design elements from the MX Master 3. The wave-like rubberized finish, customizable buttons, and high-quality feel are telltale signs that this mouse is from the MX family. However, there's also a few things that the MX Vertical omits that would have been nice to have. When I first started using the mouse, muscle memory kicked in and I tried to click the thumb shelf button found on the MX Master 2S as well as the MX Master 3. To my surprise, there was no click, and that's when I realized the Vertical lacks this additional customizable button. Another omission is the max speed scroll wheel. Although the scroll wheel on this Vertical is pretty solid, I've gotten used to the max speed scroll wheel quite a bit. The ability to go from stationary to flying down a long page with the flick of a finger is one of the best features of the MX Master line. Finally, the lack of a side scroll wheel is the last feature that was sorely missed on the Vertical. The lack of the thumb shelf button, max speed, and side scroll wheels were all features that made switching to the Vertical a bit more difficult. I'm not sure exactly why Logitech decided to leave out these features because after all, the Vertical is part of the MX line. Other mice, such as the MX Anywhere, feature at least some of them, such as the max speed scroll wheel, which makes it even more baffling to me. I can only assume that the Vertical isn't supposed to compete with Logitech's other powerhouse mice like the MX Master 2S and the 3. Rather, the MX Vertical is designed first and foremost to be an ergonomic mouse. The very drive for someone to switch to such a radically different style of mouse says something about what they value in a mouse. I believe Logitech is hoping that the lack of features would be more than made up for by the very shape and design of the MX Vertical. However, if Logitech decided to include these features, it would have made the Vertical that much better of a mouse. Specific features aside, does the MX Vertical deliver as its primary purpose of being an ergonomic mouse? And I would say yes, it absolutely does. Logitech doesn't embellish their marketing on this mouse, claiming a quaint 10% reduction in muscle strain. From my own subjective, non-scientific use, it feels as if there's a bit more than 10% of a reduction. The natural handshake grip certainly feels more comfortable than the palm-down grip of normal mice. As a test, rest your palm flat on your desk, and try to be mindful of all the muscles in your wrist and how they feel. Now turn your hand so that your thumbs are facing the ceiling. When I personally do this, I feel a slight reduction in tension in the outer parts of my wrist. This position is essentially what the MX Vertical is designed to achieve. Using the vertical feels as if you're simply resting your hands on the table with your thumbs facing the ceiling, which is a much more comfortable position when compared to the palm down position of traditional mice. The vertical itself is also fairly large when compared to other mice like the MX Master 2S, so it fills the hand and thus gives you a lot more support than other mice. So would I recommend the MX Vertical? Depending on what you value most in your mouse, I definitely would. If using a traditional style of mouse is uncomfortable for you, then absolutely give the MX Vertical a try. The grip shape definitely takes some getting used to, especially if you've been using the more traditional style of mouse for most of your life. It was initially difficult to be accurate with the vertical, but after about a month of use, I began to really get the hang of it. What didn't take a month was the immediate reduction in muscle strain that I felt in my wrist as soon as I grabbed the vertical. Now, if you're a power user who demands the most out of their mouse, then maybe consider Logitech's other offerings, such as the MX Master 3 or even the older 2S. These are still very supportive and comfortable mice, and they offer a few extra features like the additional customizable button and max speed scroll wheel. It all comes down to what you need from your mouse. If you're still on the fence, I'd recommend trying to find the vertical and test it in person. It'll definitely help you make a more informed purchase decision. I'll have a link to the MX Vertical if you'd like to pick one up yourself. I'll also link some of Logitech's other offerings just in case you're interested. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. And let me know what mouse you're considering buying. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one.